How much should I charge for my services? Aren't my rates too high? Maybe it's the right time to increase my prices, isn't it? I think these questions sound familiar to all independent language professionals. In this video, I try my best to answer them and provide you with an approach that can help to analyze and adjust your rates. Of course, prices are crucial for any business. We all understand that if our prices are higher than average market ones, we may lose some clients. At that, speaking about the market of language services, if our rates are lower than average market ones, we can lose customers too, because many clients consider lower rates to be signs of lower quality. Naturally, at the beginning of their career and later at some points, freelance linguists want to compare their prices with market ones, and they try to find some reference points in order to understand if their proposals are adequate to the current market situation. Some language professionals decide to ask their colleagues to check the offers of other vendors of language services working with the same languages, same subject fields, providing the same services. However, here we should remember one thing. Many language professionals are ready to provide discounts for specific projects to specific clients. If you take the volume of projects within 1 year completed by one vendor, you will see that the real average prices are lower than the announced ones. So if we compare our rates only with their official proposal, it is not a very good reference point. Other language professionals check offers and price lists of translation agencies and various language service providers. But again, the situation is absolutely the same. Many agencies and many language service providers are ready to offer discounts to major clients, to regular customers, or for some specific projects. And again, if we take their statistics for 1 year, we'll see that actual real prices are less than the announced ones. There are linguists who ask their potential customers, language service providers, translation agencies, how much they can pay them for their services. From my point of view, it's wrong in its nature, because every freelancer should be able to tell the price whenever clients ask. And it's not a good idea to ask customers how much you can pay me for this or for that. When we have a toothache and when we go to our dentist, he or she does not ask us how much can we pay for the treatment. They just provide us with the price. As you can see, the only way how a freelancer can analyze and set the right costs is to calculate them. Reasonable decisions regarding prices bring fruits. But how can we do it? To illustrate it, I will provide you with one example. In a year after I started my career in the field of translations and language services as a freelance translator, I earned something around 700 euros per month. So tell me, was it a good salary? In order to answer my question, you need to ask me, what could I afford with that money? And this is the key to understanding how a freelancer can calculate rates per word, per hour, and how can he or she be sure in these prices. So the first step to identification of rates is clear understanding how much money do we need for 1 month. I strongly recommend all language professionals to calculate three types of rates: minimum rates, standard rates, and maximum rates. And I will explain you why. To calculate our minimum rates, the first thing we need to do is to write our monthly costs. We should add to estimate our minimum rates, we should add only essential, only inevitable expenses. Let's say our survival kit. Such expenses include housing, utility services, living expenses, communication costs. Do not forget about dependents, for example, children or other family members, and of course about taxes. So you should write down the minimum amounts of money required for each of the categories of expenses. As a result, you have some amount that corresponds to your minimum amount of money required by you for 1 month. The next step, you need to estimate and you need to analyze how much time you can spend on your language business. In order to do so, you need to answer one question. The first question: how many days per week you can or you want to work? For this example, let's say 5. The next question: how many hours per day you are going to work or you can work as a freelancer? Let's say 8 hours. So we have 40 hours per week, 40 working hours per week. Let's say it's 160 hours per month. I know that there are usually more working days, but for the purposes of this calculation, you may just take 150 hours. Why? Because we know that there are some fluctuations of work, there are some idle periods, there are days when we do not have tasks and projects. So in order to be to identify our rates in a better way, let's take 150. So now you need to take the minimum amount of your expenses and divide it into the number of working hours. Let's say you need 1,500 per month. You are going to work 150 hours per month, so your minimum rate per hour is 10 euros. Why is it important to know this number? We should keep in mind our minimum limit, because if you accept some projects with budgets and rates lower than your minimum level, that means that you either need to work more to cover the losses, or you will not have enough money to pay for your expenses after 1 month of work. Next point: we do not work to survive. We have our goals. We want to have a comfort level of living, and the cost of our comfort living corresponds to our standard rates. Actually, these prices are to be added to our proposals we send to our clients. Let's write down all types of expenses, but this time do not limit yourself. Write such amounts that correspond to your understanding of your comfort living. Again, housing. Maybe you want to change your flat and you plan to rent a new flat next month. So here write down the cost per month of your next flat. Utility services, living expenses, communication services, work expenses. Add adequate amounts that assure your comfort within 1 month. Do not forget to add your vacation costs. From my point of view, the amount of money required for a vacation is equal to 1 month's salary. So take your the amount of costs that assure your comfort level of living for 1 month, divide it into 11, because we work 11 months and have 1 month of rest, and add the number to your standard expenses, to your standard level of expenses. Also savings, in order to be sure in our future we all need to have some savings that are airbags for our in our life. So think over how much money you would like to save each month. Add to this to this calculation. You finally you see another amount. Of course, it's bigger than your minimum amount, and this amount corresponds to your comfort level of life. So again, divided into 150 hours, working hours per month, and you receive your standard rate per hour that you should use in your offers and proposals you send to clients. And the third point, your desired level of life, your desired level of expenses. We may have some long-term plans. We may want to invest in something. We may want to buy a new house or do something. We may have some goals and projects. This is the it's time to add them to our calculation. Again, we identify the required amount of money that corresponds to every type of expenses, and again we receive the desired amount of money per month. Again, divided into 150 working hours, and you will receive your upper limit, your maximum rate per hour, your desired rate per hour. If our minimum rates are required to not to take projects that won't allow us to meet our income goals, it's good to know the maximum level, because in such cases when we think about raising our rates, in situations when we receive some urgent requests, and naturally we can add some extra to the project costs.